Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. I have been doing these episodes of Les Filles du Roi and Les Filles Mariées for the last several years. Today, it's Les Filles Mariées. But before we begin exploring these remarkable women and the legacy they left, I want to show you ways that you can help support the channel. The first three keep you in the know, which are subscribe, like, and notify. Just click on those buttons. The next ways are ways to help the channel itself grow. We have Coffee and Patreon. These are external platforms. I have links to it. And also on my Have Roots Will Travel, there is a PayPal button for you to donate. And also, don't forget about my Have Roots Will Travel website, because that's where you can have the links to all the previous episodes. So have a look at that. And also, don't forget, they have a super thanks on the YouTube platform as well that you can click on. So thanks to all of you who have supported thus far. Truly appreciate any and all of your emails and support, obviously, but just love hearing from you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get started, shall we? And so we're looking at Les Filles Mariées, who came to us between 1634 and 1662. These are the marriageable girls. These are the bravest of the brave. They came without any king or any kind of trousseau, no fanfare, one or two at a time. And they came for a new life and a new opportunity. And yes, they had the opportunity and the right to refuse gentlemen, but by and large, they came and they created a family and created the beginnings of what became New France. So we honor them today by looking at the episode 64 and having a look at that particular Fille Mariée. Today's episode, number 64, is Marie Pournin. To us from a viewer request. I did not have her in my files, so it was a pleasure to get to know Marie. Marie was born in 1622 in a commune called Pournin in France, which is found in the Auvergne-France-Comté département, or region, I should say. The département is Nièvre. Now you can see it's a lovely little country village, really, 158 people at last census. The church that she probably was baptized in, the Church of Pournin, is dedicated to Saint Pierre aux Liens, and the oldest parts of the church date to the 12th century. Now, her parents were Jean Pournin and Catherine Durand. She was married before moving to New France. She was the widow of Guillaume de la Berdinière. Quite remarkable in that she came to New France to work. I mean, we don't see this very often, but she would arrive in New France, in Montreal, and go to work at the following place. So as of 1658, she was working with Jeanne Matmos at the hospital as a worker and someone who obviously was assisting her. And we have some of these maps you can actually go and look at. I posted the link. Just an amazing kind of story that she was there. So if you are a descendant of Marie, you also have touched history in a very, very profound way. Eventually, she would marry, and the groom that she selected eventually, his name was Jacques d'Estard de la Forêt, and he was born in 1630 in Rouen in Normandy. His parents were Jean d'Estard and Anne Godefroy. Rouen is a city on the river Seine in northern France. It is the capital of Normandy. And Rouen has an amazing historical story and was at one time the largest city in medieval Europe. It played a prominent role in both English and French histories from the 11th to the 15th century. Joan of Arc was tried and burned alive here in 1431 in this very city. raised a city of cultural and educational significance. And it was from this area that the Statue of Liberty sailed in June of 1885. So you see some of the churches that the church that she would have been, or he would have been baptized in, the Church of Saint Vincent. All that remains of it is what you see in the middle picture. The picture on your left is Saint Vincent and how it would have looked at a previous time before it was bombed. And this occurred during World War II, as so many precious buildings um, would find themselves destroyed by the Germans. Very important to the eventual story is that Jacques is the brother of Charles Testa, who was married to Anne de la Marque. We will see her later in the episode. Now, Jacques would arrive in New France as early as 1655. We find him in Trois-Rivières, and in Montreal in 1658, where he is listed as a soldier. And at the baptism of a little girl named Elisabeth Hubert on the 12th of November, he is said to be formerly corporal of the Guérison. So that possibly was in Trois-Rivières. So interesting kind of trajectory he had. So he was kind of well versed in New France by the time he and Marie would meet. Let's have a look at when they meet. We know that Marie was in New France and in Montreal as of 1658, and we also know that Jacques was in Montreal as of November 1658. So obviously they must have met at some point. Now it took over a year. They were married at Montreal November 24th, 1659. So I don't know when their paths crossed. I love to conjecture, but we don't know when they would have met, but certainly she had her work to do. He was doing his thing. And at some point, usually in New France, when the decision to marry happens, it happens fairly quickly and the ceremony comes. So I suspect they met sometime in the fall of 1659. Talk a little bit about Montreal, the wonderful city that would become this great, marvelous Montreal. Started off as Ville-Marie by the founder Paul de Chaumedy, Sieur de Maisonneuve, and was essentially a missionary center that was founded in May of 1642. The colony would not thrive, and it was on the verge of extinction when Chaumedy decided to return to France to recruit 100 settlers, which would become known as La Grande Recrue. From this small group would evolve not only the Notre Dame congregation from Sister Marguerite Bourgeois, who was part of the Grande Recrue, but Montreal would also divine their own army. By 1663, they realized that they needed to protect their land. So part of, not only were they colonists, but they were warriors protecting this amazing island, and they are what allowed it to grow. Marie and Jacques would go on to have two children. Gabrielle, who was their firstborn, joined the military, and not much is known about him. So if anyone has any information, please let me know. Now, Jacques, on the other hand, would go on to marry Marianne Laporte and would have 7 children, 5 of whom would survive. He would then marry Marguerite d'Amour and have 4 more children. Unfortunately, none of them survived. Jacques would die suddenly at home, as is noted on the death record. He was 33 years old, and he would be buried in Montreal June 22nd, 1663. Now, what we can find out from the census of 1666 and 1667 is that Marie did not remarry. So you can find Marie on the 1666 census with her sons, Gabriel and Jacques. There is Charles Testard, and that was Jacques' brother, and Anne de Marque, his wife. And then we have Abraham Binet, François Renaud, Amédée Rollard, David Chevalier, and Nicolas Perrault. So these are all people that she engaged or had as a contract. I don't know if it was Charles or if it was part of her estate. We don't know. But let's have a look at the 1667 census. Now we find her not living with Charles and Anne. We find her also, what's interesting to note is you can see here Marie Pournin, veuve Testard. They have her listed as 45 years old, and in the 1666 census, 1 year before, she was 35. So not too good. Gabrielle is 6 years old. Jacques is 4. Then they have domestics. Gilles Devin is a new. Abraham Binet was there before. Hallyday Mollard is the same one. François is there as well. Antoine Baudet is a new person. They have 6 beasts or cattle, and they have 15 arpents, about 12 to 14 acres of land. So it's very interesting. Her husband dies in 1663, and she is alone for the next 5 years. That tells us that he left her quite comfortable. Now, the new groom that would come to her aid, his name, Jacques de Lamarck, and he was born in 1643 in Bordeaux, France. His parents were Louis Lamarck and Marie Papineau. He was the brother to Anne Lamarck, another fille mariée, who married Charles Testard, who was the brother of Jacques Testard, who was Marie's first husband. So really and truly, it's all in the family. Now, Bordeaux is a city rich in history, and it traces itself back to around 300 BC, when it was a settlement of the Celtic tribe, and it was named, the town was named Bordigila. Under Roman rule around 60 BC, became a significant commercial center for tin and lead. Despite threats from Viking and Norman incursions and political instability, the city found its own kind of rock under the Dukes of Aquitaine. Now, Bordeaux, of course, is a city today with a population of well over 260,000 people, and it's part of the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region today and part of the Département of Gironde. You can see the castles that were part of that amazing, amazing history of Bordeaux. It is truly the world capital of wine, and if you love gourmet or anything to do with the vines, this is the place to go. But it's also very important today for aeronautics and military and space centers. And it's actually the very first airplane soared above the city in 1910. So it's kind of got this old and new happening. So definitely a place I want to visit. Now, Jacques would be found in New France as early as 1662 in Quebec City and 1667 in Montreal. He obviously was a merchant and a trader, and was someone who absolutely was making his mark. You know, when I see the name Lamarck, he knew he was definitely a mover and shaker. Now remember that Marie's husband died in 1663. Somehow she was able to sustain herself until February 5th, 1668, on her own, supporting her children. So they did have one more child. Remember that Jacques was quite younger, much younger than Marie, but she managed to have one more child with him, Marianne, and Marianne would marry Jean Nonnet and have 8 children, but only 2 would survive. She then married Joseph Antoine Fresnel and then Antoine Totti, who died at Detroit. I suspect this is where Marianne would also die. So there are 2 descendants potentially from that line. Now, if we look at the 1681 census, we see Jacques, 37 years old, Marie, 54. Their children, Gabrielle and Jacques, still there with him. Marianne is 11, 3 guns. They have 3 baitacons, which are 3 animals with horns, so either goats or bulls. 60 alfalfa. So they have probably between 54 and 55 in that ballpark of acres of land from when they started. So that's pretty amazing. He would die October 2nd, 1699. She and Jacques would have been married 31 years. She would leave only 35 descendants, but it was enough. My viewer who requested her is proof that she did leave a legacy. Jacques would follow about 6 years later, and both are buried in Montreal. First of all, if you have descendancy in Montreal, if this were where your ancestors really settled, you absolutely need to get this book, Pioneers of 17th Century Montreal by Susan McNally. Fabulous, fabulous read, available on Amazon, on her website. Please have a look at it. Even if you didn't have, and I don't have a lot of descendants from Montreal or ancestors from Montreal, it was an incredible read, so I absolutely recommend it. Another great read is Les Filles du Roi, The Pioneers of Montreal from the Société d'Histoire des Filles du Roi. Another fabulous read if you can read French. So I have, over the last few years, I've gotten better and better at reading French. So I was always okay, but lately I've proven that, practice makes perfect, almost. Here are some of the amazing resources I use constantly for trying to find out things. And for example, today I'm going to feature the American French Genealogical Society, of which I am a member, and it is truly an amazing resource. I recently did a lot of research in their journals, and I just found so much information from the past that isn't easy to find, but by digging and digging and going through the index, you really do find nuggets of pure gold. So absolutely check out the American French Genealogical Society. I've put all of the links for your interest in the notes, so you can just click and have a look at what resources will help you the most. What a life she led. To have been widowed so young and then come to New France and marry twice more is just remarkable. This is a study of a woman who truly, truly withstood any adversity that life brought to her. So we are so grateful that she came to our shores and contributed her talent and her life to building New France. So thank you so much, Marie. You were and are remembered. So I will also want to thank my patrons and supporters for their support and, real belief in what I'm doing. I truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you and all of my subscribers. Thank you so much for believing in this little program that I started a few years ago on a whim. So thank you so very, very much. And I will see you on episode, I guess it's 65 of Les Filles Mariées. Until then, au revoir.